Going on online, James at Creedon joins me. James, good evening to you.
Evening, Rochelle.
Now, we'll start with the buzz around last night's opening World Cup match. There was a lot of discontent online.
In particular with the opening ceremony, Rochelle, people just were a little bit perplexed by what was going on. This giant ball rolling around the place with sort of vegetation encircling it. Let's take a look at some of the images. These sort of nymph-like creatures emerging from vegetation, walking football heads, broccoli. A lot of people were making a remark that there was a lot of walking broccoli in Sao Paulo last night. And then Jenny from the Bronx and various other performers. This is one person's take on it. It was so dull and boring, according to that particular lemur, isn't it? That's a lemur. And if we move on, that's somebody doing a sort of a homemade version of the ball that was kind of rolling around the centre of the pitch. To be honest, you can't really top the Queen jumping out of a helicopter, but she didn't really do that. But anyway, that was, of course, in London 4 years ago. This looks like a fruit salad. What's going on, Brazil? This ceremony looks like ghost trees and aliens running around after a giant football. You get the picture. There was a degree of derision on social media about what was a rather colourful display from out of Sao Paulo.
I'm not sure what's wrong with walking broccoli. I mean, it happens all the time.
Or even dancing broccoli, as one person put it.
Now, next to that infamous penalty that was awarded to Brazil, there's lots of criticism also online about that.
That's right. First of all, just to show a vine, which is the image looped, of course, of the infamous dive by Fred. You can see that there was no contact at all with Dejan Lovren, the Croatian player who was supposedly responsible for that penalty being given. In any case, an awful lot of mashups and photos of there he is with his Oscar, you can see, for the fantastic performance that he put in. So various photos of the incident, which are basically sending up what was a rather spectacular dive. And also a lot of criticism for the man of the match for Brazil. That is Yuichi Nishimura, the Japanese referee, who is getting an awful lot of criticism. Apparently, he also created a lot of unhappiness in Congo one time during the World Club Cup, which is clubs playing each other, of course. And he made a controversial decision and, as a result, offended half of the Congo. And apparently people started vandalising Chinese restaurants after the game, despite the fact that he's Japanese, in a bid to get revenge. And so there you go, a lot of criticism of both the referee and Fred.
Okay, all right. Well, next to Twitter, and how is it marking itself in the World Cup, rather? It's
certainly trying to get colourful and changing its backdrops and offering you all sorts of what they're calling a start-up kit as well. In particular, it's focused at people who are just joining up. So you can see her promotional videos, etc. The idea being that the Twitter is a sort of live news source, and you can live the event in Brazil, from your sitting room, watching it on television, but also getting another perspective via your Twitter feed. So they're very much trying to go in strong around the World Cup. Twitter in France estimates that about 2/3 of its users are football fans, so they're very much trying to gear it in that way. So it's very much being helped by the fact that a lot of football players themselves are very present on social media. Neymar of Brazil, after a very good performance yesterday, added 300,000 followers, putting him now as the second most followed football player after Ronaldo of Portugal on Twitter. So there you go. It's certainly good PR for the social network.
300,000 new followers in a day, it's not bad.
It's not bad indeed.
At all. All right, finally, what about those people who couldn't care less really about the World Cup? What can they do to filter it all out? Indeed,
well, Le Monde has some tips, and what they're basically saying is, especially focusing on social media, if you are sick of your football mad friend posting all sorts of information, better to, as they advise one to do, unfollow rather than unfriend, because it could create some tensions. So there is an option there. If you go onto any given post up in the top right, you can unfollow somebody. Also on Twitter, you can unmask as opposed to unfollow the person on Twitter. So there are various ways of, without ruffling feathers, filtering out news that you don't necessarily want to be exposed to. One little piece of trivia before we finish, Rochelle. Gilles Cahier du Foot, this is a Twitter user in France. Now, he is a journalist for the Cahier du Foot, which is a football media in France. Now, basically, he posted this tweet, which is to say, apparently the match starts at 5 p.m. in Brazil and 10 p.m. in France. For those who are there, please no spoilers. Which obviously was, or not perhaps obviously, but what he's insinuating there is that the match was starting beforehand in Brazil, and that the time difference, he wasn't really computing that it's actually at the same time, it's just in a different time zone. But in any case, it led to an avalanche of tweets and retweets, over 7,000 retweets. In fact, it was a joke, but a lot of people, because it seemed so stupid, to be honest, retweeted it and derided the person. But actually, it was a huge PR stunt for the Cahiers du Foot. So all sorts of ways to surf on the buzz around this event, even by appearing like an idiot.
Fair enough, James. All right, thank you very much for that media roundup for us. All right, next it's time for Focus. And coal-fired power plants still produce almost